To politics, President Trump reportedly ordered White House officials to grant the highest security clearance to his son-in-law and senior advisor Jared Kushner, ignoring concerns raised by his staff. The New York Times reports that former Chief of Staff John Kelly and White House counsel Don McGahn was so troubled by that move, they wrote internal memos documenting their concerns about Kushner's top security clearance. Kushner's lawyer says his client went through a standard process and denies any favorable treatment. Rick Newman is on the couch with us on this Friday to discuss. What's the big takeaway from this report? I mean, I can't say we're surprised necessarily, but this has to be a concern. Officials in the past have talked about their concerns about Jared Kushner's ties with foreign governments and foreign businesses.
At least a couple big takeaways. First of all, there's a problem with Jared Kushner's background. We don't know what it is, but there's something. Yeah, right.
I'm totally surprised.
An underwater real estate, project. What could go wrong, right? So there's a problem in his, with whatever the FBI found when they did his background check that got in the way of them saying approving him for top secret security clearance. We don't know what that is. It could be. I mean, if you think about it, he as a real estate developer, he seeks funding from all over the world. He could have creditors in Russia or someplace like that who might be suspect of being Russian agents or something like that. Don't know. But that was enough, apparently, to get in the way to block the security clearance. So that's the number one takeaway, is there's some problem there. Number two is Trump just overrode that, apparently. He said, and the president does have the power to do that. Jared Kushner did not have the clearances, and Trump said, give him the clearances. And that got him the clearances. So right now, Jared Kushner, who is a relative of the president, has access to very sensitive information that some people in the government feel he should not have access to.
So what I find interesting with this story, and we're seeing it play out with all the Cohen stuff, is, what did people freak out about when Obama was the president? It's like, oh, well, he's extending executive powers and he's kind of abusing the office of the president. I think there's a lot of things that President Obama did that were kind of executive overreach because he couldn't deal with Congress.
Right.
But now we're like taking it in the next term, 2 years later, to an even further extreme, right?
Because we've cranked it up to 11.
It's like, it's crazy, and it just feels like either this is going to be a new normal situation where every White House is staffed with people who are your family members, or I don't even know what the or would be, right?
Miles, I don't even think you can make a comparison between the Obama and the Trump administrations. You can ding Obama for policy issues. He was one of the gripes that he was aloof from Congress. He did not really put his heart into really getting deals done with Congress. He just seemed to look down on Congress, kind of a sort of superior attitude. There were virtually no ethical controversies in the Obama administration.
And let's keep in mind
the biggest controversy was the Benghazi episode, in which 4 Americans, including the ambassador to Libya, were killed. And that, of course, was the subject of what seemed to be endless hearings in the House, held by House Republicans. Democrats are now getting their comeuppance with what are going to be seemingly endless House hearings into Trump stuff. But the level of controversy in the Trump administration, it's really unprecedented. I don't think even the Nixon administration had this degree of ethical difficulty.
That's really saying something.
There was a problem with Nixon himself, but it was not diffused among it didn't seem like there were grifters in every cabinet department.
Well, and it's also, let's also point out, while we're discussing what led to the holdup with the security clearance, Jared Kushner is still being dispatched abroad right now to try and talk through and push through the president's foreign policies. And the big question then is, well, what is the motive behind some of his negotiations? Let's talk about something else that
let me just address that real quickly. This is an important point. Another reason you might not get a security clearance is you are in debt. So that means you have financial vulnerabilities and are more susceptible to bribery than you might otherwise be. That could be what's going on here.
Let's talk about what we've been following over in Asia.